Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's the man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plastic surgeries. But
yeah, she was going under.
Yeah.
She just sees these big black arms coming over her face.
In a normal life, your marriage is the core of everything. A happy marriage produces happy people and happy children. And I just don't think she spent a lot of time on that. I mean, she really dislikes her husband. Super obvious. I'm not just saying that to be catty. I think I'm trying to feel compassion for her, but her hostility toward the guy is like unbelievable. And it's been
everything
obvious
she says is negative.
About him,
I mean,
for
how
sure,
long have we known each other?
2007.
I can't even think of one negative comment you've ever made about Susie. I almost never say negative things about Doug. It's not.
When Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson take aim at Michelle Obama's legacy, it doesn't feel like a discussion, it's more like a direct hit. Her polished public image gets torn apart, with no media spin or gentle handling. Just blunt critiques, pointed remarks, and brutal honesty. From her well-managed past to her most recent controversies, nothing is off limits. This isn't just opinion, it's a no-holds-barred roast backed by hard facts.
That's it. This is the one.
Or the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay, we all know it.
So she's never had a real job in her life. She's like, has nothing in common with any American. She's nasty. She's a hater, clearly. She's utterly ungrateful for every special advantage she's been given her entire life. She went to Princeton on a free ride and she's mad at Princeton? Really? I mean, everything about her is like mediocre, mean, dumb, and not a single achievement in her entire life.
If Michelle Obama expected a peaceful post-White House life filled with green smoothies and podcast gigs, she clearly didn't count on Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson still having live mixanth they didn't hold back. They came at her public image like sledgehammers on glass. Just when people thought the age of polished virtue signaling was behind us, Michelle reappeared Netflix deal in one hand, a brand new controversy in the other.
Now that he's a Netflix producer, along with his 8-adult wife, Michelle, he's producing more racial division. The latest is called Leave the World Behind. It's a fictional thriller about the collapse of technology and what humans would do with no phones or computers. The movie follows a family on vacation at a rental house, and one night they're visited by a father and a daughter who show up seeking shelter. They say their phones no longer work and they need a place to stay. So immediately the white family, because they're evil, that's included in their DNA, of course, is suspicious of the visitors because they're black. And it goes on and on and on like this. Here's a clip.
I'm asking for you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people.
Can't trust white people. They're evil. This is the guy, remember, who became famous at the Democratic Convention in 2004 by telling us there is no white America, there's no black America, it's just one America. But of course, that's not really a profit model in politics, is it? So he's been stoking race hatred ever since, and the disarray around us is the result.
Let's start with the recent headlines. Michelle Obama's latest effort to rebrand herself as a down-to-earth, working-class figure while reportedly earning $250,000 per speaking appearance. Because nothing says, I'm just like you quite like showing up to a diversity seminar in a tailored Gucci suit and preaching about sacrifice. It's the kind of irony you'd expect if a billionaire gave a lesson on clipping coupons at Walmart.
Michelle Obama says her husband was a way better president than Donald Trump because, among other reasons, he made America eat its carrots or something to that effect. Watch.
The 8 years that Barack was president, it was sort of like having the good parent at home, the one that told you to eat your carrots and go to bed on time. And now perhaps we have the other parent. Maybe it feels fun to some for now because we can eat candy all day and, stay up late and not follow the rules.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back. His critique felt like torching a Whole Foods and roasting tofu marshmallows over the flames. He tore into Michelle's carefully crafted image, the kind of picture-perfect life that looks more like an Instagram ad than reality. While she talks about struggle from behind marble countertops, Joe ripped through the illusion with all the subtlety of a grizzly bear trying yoga. If there's one thing he can't stand, it's someone claiming hardship while flying private and posting motivational quotes.
Everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah! Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in it.
Then came Tucker Carlson, treating Michelle Obama's double standards like they owed him back rent. He tore into her live on air, carving up her public image like a Halloween pumpkin. From her books and speeches to her documentaries, Tucker called it out for what it is, a polished PR machine wrapped in the language of moral authority. Somehow, she's portrayed as too elite to be questioned, yet too oppressed to succeed without special favors. It's not just a contradiction, it's her entire brand.
Where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull out and China would just give up. I was fucking wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Michelle's latest controversy, a tour stop where she spoke out about being unfairly labeled as the angry black woman just before cashing a check that looked like it came straight from a Fortune 500 CEO. You can't play the victim while profiting off the same stereotype you claim to be fighting. It's the kind of irony that practically writes itself, but Joe and Tucker weren't about to let it slide. Joe called out how Michelle's speeches are packed with lofty messages about unity and resilience, while subtly suggesting that anyone who disagrees is morally flawed. He joked that her words sound like Hallmark cards rewritten by a gender studies professor. Sure, her delivery is polished, but polishing a billboard doesn't turn it into something deep. Tucker took it from there, calling out her claim to be non-political while showing up at nearly every major Democratic event like she's the guest of honor. Meanwhile, Joe didn't forget her infamous school lunch overhaul. What was promised as a health revolution turned cafeterias into flavorless zones of kale chips that crumbled like chalk and quinoa mush that could have been used to insulate walls.
I will not run for president.
Yeah, I've heard you say I think Michelle should run.
She could win. She could win, I think. I think if she ran, she could win.
Did you ever run for office?
No.
I have to ask you.
No.
No kind of office?
No.
I don't think she wants that, though.
No,
I don't think she wants that in her life. The bull that they dealt with over the 8 years when he was president.
Because I've got these two young people at home. Being the kids, the daughters of a president, just think about it. Not so easy.
That job for anybody that really good at it.
Yeah, I trust the person who doesn't want the job more than the person who wants the job.
It's not something that I'm interested in or would ever do, ever.
Joe couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Kids weren't getting healthier under Michelle's lunch plan, they were just left hungry and annoyed. It was like her solution to childhood obesity was to make food so unappealing no one wanted to eat it. Then came Tucker, flashing that trademark smirk that could probably be trademarked, tearing into Michelle for pretending to be an outsider while cozying up with Hollywood's A List. The same woman who brands herself as anti-elitist regularly dines with Oprah and Beyonce, vacations on private islands, and lands Netflix deals as easily as most people get fast food coupons. She's not just part of the elite, she's royalty, wrapped in designer clothes and tied together with a motivational TED Talk. Even her image as America's mom didn't escape scrutiny. Joe pointed out how every line she delivers feels like it went through the same market testing as a new iPhone launch. And Tucker didn't miss his cue. He called out the absurdity of Michelle claiming oppression while pulling in more from a single speech than many Americans earn in half a decade. She's the rare figure who manages to play both the victim and the power player in the same breath.
You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah,
we used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto-penned.
The moment Michelle Obama claimed she felt invisible in the White House while appearing on nearly every magazine cover, Tucker had to pause just to let the audience's eyebrows come back down. The contradiction was so blatant, it practically announced itself. And it didn't stop at lifestyle choices, it spilled straight into gender politics. Her shift from first lady to feminist icon didn't feel like natural growth. It felt more like a rebranding campaign. One day she's planting vegetables with school kids, the next she's positioned as a woke oracle with a side hustle in lifestyle coaching. Joe Rogan described it as a TEDx fever dream set to a curated playlist. The more socially conscious her messaging became, the more out of touch she seemed. Tucker pointed out how Michelle sprinkles identity politics like seasoning added when convenient, dialed up for effect. And now, with her dropping vague hints about a return to public life, it feels like she's leaving a breadcrumb trail to 2028. Joe treated the idea like a horror movie sequel no one asked for. The thought of Michelle running for office wasn't just unrealistic, it was comedic. Picture policies wrapped in pastel packaging, speeches full of feel-good buzzwords, and anyone who disagrees dismissed as culturally clueless.
Can you think, so the idea is, we were brave and we told the truth even when it was unpopular. Can you think of a single example, and I can, I watched carefully for 8 years, where Obama or his wife said anything that would be unpopular in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, or Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles? I mean, they seem to just read from the script of their friends. Did they ever challenge conventional wisdom on anything?
No. To be fair, let me do one. There was one time I heard him give a speech about Vietnam veterans, and I thought it was a good speech, and he basically gave no safe harbor to people who had attacked our Vietnam veterans.
Tucker didn't even need to exaggerate, he simply laid out the facts. Imagine Michelle Obama campaigning with a squad of yoga instructors, diversity experts, and private chefs, all while claiming to fight for the working class. Her version of grassroots politics? Rallies at Whole Foods, voter registration drives at Peloton Studios, and a State of the Union that looks like it was pulled from Pinterest. She's not trying to lead a nation. She's trying to curate a lifestyle brand. But the real nail in the coffin came when Joe Rogan called out the spiritual marketing behind her self-help empire. All the "you are enough" speeches, guided journals, empowerment summits, it's not about strength or growth. It's a multi-million-dollar business built on trendy victimhood. Her message doesn't promote resilience, it packages redemption and sells it by the book. And when critics speak up, Michelle stays silent, cloaked in polished grace, while her fanbase handles the attacks. Dismissals are swift, critics are labeled sexist, racist, or worse, heretics who dare question the Church of Michelle.
I think Putin and the Chinese, I have no issue with Big Mike. I don't care that they killed that sex slave in Martha's Vineyard. That's what happens to sex slaves. They drown in ponds. That's what happens. You fuck the ruling class, you drown a pond. That's what happens. If you get your little mouthy, you go into the pond. I don't have a problem with it. I have no problem. I think it's good. I actually think it's good. I think it makes our country fun. I think it makes us unique. I think Putin and them are scared of that shit.
They do it all the time.
They're like, you don't know what's going on there. Because they got people that maybe they're men, maybe they're women, we don't know. I think
Joe and Tucker didn't need a response from Michelle. They came armed with receipts, video clips, and enough irony to keep the satire going for years. So while Michelle floats above criticism on a cloud made of yoga mats, award speeches, and avocado toast, Joe and Tucker remain grounded, holding up a mirror to the spectacle, inviting her to come back down to reality. Because somewhere beneath the hashtags, stage lights, and choreographed inspiration, there was once a woman who claimed to understand the everyday American. Sadly, that version seems long gone buried under Netflix contracts and $1,000 blazers. Michelle Obama's brand of polished motivation doesn't just flirt with cringe-it dives headfirst into it, complete with a press tour and a feel-good Spotify playlist. She waves the empowerment flag, but her latest efforts feel less like a movement and more like a high-budget rerun of 2008. This time with a wardrobe budget big enough to fund multiple schools. Yes, it's empowerment if your idea of that includes a camera crew and a luxury SUV waiting outside your meditation retreat. Michelle doesn't just enter a room, she makes an entrance like she's still First Lady, only now she's traded duty for image and left accountability at the door.
Joe Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
I mean, it's a bunch of rich people talking about rich people.
Michelle Obama seems to have a strange knack for making every issue circle back to herself. Crime is up? Maybe we should have listened to her gardening tips. Inflation? Clearly, people just didn't read her memoir closely enough to learn how to budget like a former First Lady. It's almost impressive the way she manages to insert herself into every national narrative like she's the country's emotional GPS. Criticize her even slightly, and suddenly you're not just disagreeing, you're anti-health, anti-education, anti-progress, anti-puppy, and opposed to whatever vague idea she's promoting that week. At this point, it's not a dialogue, it's a lifestyle cult dressed in kale chips and Instagram filters. As Michelle continues to glide through the elite airspace of media sainthood, she seems totally blind to the irony of preaching humility and sacrifice from a luxury penthouse. Once upon a time, her message may have struck a chord. Now, it just bounces off the polished marble of her own echo chamber. The more she tries to be the nation's big sister, the more she sounds like a tenured Ivy League professor giving a TED Talk on working class life right before sliding into a chauffeur-driven Tesla. At this stage, Michelle Obama isn't selling inspiration. She's rebranding privilege with a smile and calling it empowerment. Her version of progress looks less like a movement and more like a high-end ad campaign dressed up as virtue. Every perfectly framed moment screams relatability while dripping in untouchable luxury. And as the spotlight on her curated image finally begins to dim, one thing is clear: this isn't leadership.